What it do, y'all? It's your boy Gage. You are now tuned into Good Conversation and Shenanigans. I can almost guarantee there will be some of both. It's highly likely. Listen, I am joined, and I'm very happy to be joined by the cast. I'm gonna call y'all a cast. The cast, right, of the All Dressed Up podcast. K Dizzle and Hef Streams. Gentlemen, how are we? Hef Streams, let me start with you. How are you, man?
Man, what it do, Mr. Gage? How you doing, man? How should I address you, sir, in the most humblest regards?
I listen, just Gage. It's
Because
fine.
you're doing
I
your
don't
thing,
like we
man.
don't.
Shout out to you, bro. But thanks for having me, by the way, man. But yeah, it's your boy Have Streams, man. One half of the All Dressed Up podcast. Hey, just like we were introduced, we like to have some fun. Me and my guy down here, K Dizzle DC, like to get it in. You can find me everywhere on Hef_streams on Instagram, on YouTube. But we like to have fun, talk about everything culture each and every Sunday night at 9 o'clock. So, what
My
up, K?
man. Straight up,
Oh,
K Dizzle.
hi, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me from such videos as Don't Touch My Mama and That's My Sandwich. Whoa. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My
Yeah.
man Gage is in the building. The ADU podcast is live and direct with Gage on Good Convo and Shenanigans. Have streams. Man, these are two brothers I've known for quite a bit. I love
Yeah.
both of y'all. I'm excited and I'm glad to be doing this.
That's what's up.
You can find me anywhere you see K Dizzle DC. So look us up, look up ADU Podcast, look up Loading Snacks. I'm dropping all bombs right now.
Feel free, bro.
Get
Hey,
it
listen,
in
let me
early.
look before we even dig into what this show is, right? And how it works. I do want to get let's just run it down a little bit. I got y'all running down at the bottom of the ticker again. All Dressed Up podcast Sundays at 9 EST. Where do y'all go live? What's the best way for people to follow y'all and make sure that they're there when the show pops up?
Hef.
Hey, man, we go live. We try to aim for 9 o'clock. We all on CPT. We usually come on about 9:02, 9:03,
Okay, that's fair.
9:15 the latest. But Sundays at 9, we go on Facebook Live, YouTube. We are at the ADU podcast, like my boy K Dizzle says. So when you see that notification, if you subscribe, man, we're definitely gonna, come with it. And we try to make everybody feel comfortable. Like, we have a lot of fun. We talk a lot of shit, but it's all about feeling comfortable. And if it's anything that we're not familiar with, we always want to learn and we try to enjoy ourselves with you. But it's a very inclusive show, and we're live, man. Like I said, every Sunday night at 9.
Yeah, and the cool part is we don't just talk about one thing.
No.
We go down a gambit, a couple of things. We'll spend some time in sports. We'll spend some time in current events. We'll spend some time in social justice. But mostly we're talking about love, relationships, and things that matter and things that are now. And try to make sure that we provide thoughtful conversation, insight,
No doubt.
and educate if you don't know about certain stuff. So a lot of people say, well, what's your podcast about? It's about a little bit of everything. You
Yeah.
got to see it to watch it, and you'll gravitate to whatever it is you like. We do, like I said, you have those podcasts where you listen to what are specific things. And
Yeah.
people, I have some people like me and we struggled at the beginning. It was like, people's like, oh, well, you guys talk a lot about sports. I don't really do sports. And, other people like, well, I like your relationship part. We really dig that. So it's a little bit, it's a mashup. And,
Yeah.
we say, you know what, we're going to keep doing it the way we do it. We love it. Our people love it. And we'll just keep growing from there, man.
Hey, real quick to piggyback, real quick, Gage, off
Yeah.
of that, we're very interactive. So it's funny how K Dizzle says, like, we'll start off with our blueprint for an episode,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
but we'll get into something and go off for about 15, 20 minutes with
Yeah.
the chat because, again,
Yeah.
we're very interactive and we're not even looking up. It's like 10 o'clock.
Right.
So,
All of a
Yeah.
sudden it's we passed that point.
Yeah,
no
all of a
doubt.
sudden it's a wrap.
Hey dog, I know exactly how that is, man. We
Mhm.
we have a tendency to go off the rails. I just figured might as well not even bring the rails, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I really believe that it's better for building your community, being interactive, being able to talk with your folks. Like, that's one of the things we love about when I'm doing what I do with Loading Snacks. We do weekly. We do our live show usually on Tuesday nights. Same kind of thing, but it is very pop culture focused. Um, but it doesn't keep us from getting off the rails. Like, it's super easy to get off the
Yeah.
rails, bro.
Yeah, without doubt.
Because we're just enjoying what we're doing, and that, helps spark the idea for a show like this. Um, Good Conversation and Shenanigans is, again, about just that. So the way this show works is everybody brings a topic to the table. It doesn't matter what the topic is. No topic is off the table. Okay. I prefer not to know what the topics are ahead of time. So look, here's how it goes. I have a topic. Usually, just as a host, I go last, right? And give my guests the
Hmm.
opportunity to present their topics. Say, and we'll go into those topics and have that discussion. I don't know what y'all are bringing to the table. Y'all feel free to jump in and let me know what's happening. Let me know what direction the show is going
Bring the
today.
rails.
Yeah. We can go right off the rails. Like, again, we don't need the rails. We're not really, you know what I
Real?
mean?
What?
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
those?
Ski
What are
slope,
those?
straight skis, just
All right.
whatever path you want to go in. So,
So, so we setting it off?
yeah, let's
We
do
setting
it.
it off?
Yeah, let's do it.
Have set it off. Come
Man,
on.
let's do it, man. Thank you again. A little nervous, man. We on a big platform
Why
here.
you
A lot of
nervous?
shenanigans. But
Yeah.
look. So I'm gonna open up with sharing some stuff about myself, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and just say I like to, hit a J at, once or twice every now and again, right? That's my recreational thing to do.
Sure.
I do have a marijuana card, right? That's the thing now. You do have access to dispensaries, but let me not be all, funny about it. Weed is everywhere, right? Everybody's smoking it up. Everybody's promoting it now. People trying to find ways to get behind it because it's big business, man.
He building it.
Facts.
He building it.
Right?
Facts.
So look, obviously I got every app that's available to
Right.
find my strands, right? To find my deals. If it's Wednesday, I need to know where I can get my, 2 for joint on a Wednesday.
Sure.
All right, so follow me. So the whole topic at hand, my family, I get an email today, and I open my email and I'm excited, right? Because I see Leafly's already up. They ready to go. They know what I want. And they say, Puff with pride, right?
Yeah.
14 fantastic queer owned cannabis brands.
Hmm.
And I said, these mother are smart than a mug. They're smart. I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you why they're smart. For one, I don't know if weed is straight, if weed is gay. I don't know if weed has a sexual preference, right?
Right.
But they're telling me that in this email, I can find my queer weed all year round, which is great. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know if the weed I smoke is gay or straight. I do expect it to get me to a certain point. I expect it to get me to my level. Whatever my weed decides to do on its own time is fine with me.
That's something. Okay.
Right? So my whole thing is like, let's bring a topic to the table. It's smart because if I send that email out, I know the weed smokers like me, I'm gonna come out. You know what I'm saying? If I see a good deal, I'm gonna come out.
Sure.
And then if I want to support the queer based owned cannabis brands, I'm definitely gonna come out.
Mm-hmm.
So are we definitely talking about business here? Are we talking about a movement, or is it just a combination of both?
I mean, realistically, I'm gonna say it's a combination of both.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say that because I really think that almost every major corporation has changed their logo this month. I mean, it's
Mm,
Pride. So everybody is flying the flag within their logo this month. We do it. We do it on Loading Snacks, right? We
Hmm.
have we have we have Pride clothes. We're allies. You know what I mean? We support them. So there is a part of it that is business, right? Some of it is we want you to know that this is a safe place. Some of it is we want you to know if you fall into one of these categories and you want to support, you can bring your business here and know that you're supporting somebody who falls into the LGBTQIA plus. Um, but then again, it might just be people who are allies and are just like, I mean, that's a good deal, and
Hmm.
let me go support. I don't really look at that as being any different than black businesses during February.
Yep. And that's something that K Dizzle actually said too. He was like, one thing that we do on the All Dressed Up podcast each and every week, we promote black business.
Sure.
And I threw that out to K because he said, well, the rebuttal is probably going to be, look at how we promote and support ourselves when it comes to black business. But then we started talking about the comparisons and systemic oppression, and not to go down the whole path, but I just thought it was interesting to hear that I could purchase queer buds because I'm an ally as well, and I loved it. I thought the marketing was brilliant. You know
Sure.
what I'm saying? And I think, and it's funny you say this because I saw a Burger King Pride ad, and I didn't quite understand it, but it was brilliant because it had the buns flip
It
flop.
had it had the top buns and it had the bottom buns on each
Wow.
sandwich. Now, yeah, top and top,
Yeah.
bottom and bottom. And so when you're talking about inclusion, right?
Yeah.
You start to question. Sometimes you start to question when you see queer weed or you see top and buns. You start to question inclusion and
Mm,
how far and is there a line when you're talking about impressing that inclusion upon somebody
sure.
versus allowing it to happen naturally. And I can it to same way I same way I looked at Juneteenth. We all saw Juneteenth come around. It became a federal holiday, and now you can go to Walmart and buy paper plates with Juneteenth on it, and
Sure.
kente napkins with Juneteenth on it. And
Sure.
as a black man, if I go in there and see that, I'm gonna get a little upset
Hmm.
because I feel now you realize that they're going to sooner or later capitalize and make it, capitalize on whatever it is.
Sure.
At the same time, sometimes it demeans what the actual meaning of the holiday is. At, that's how I felt a little bit with it.
I mean, you know what? Here's the thing. I'm not. I'm gonna push back a little bit, but not
Go ahead.
like. I think anytime something like that happens, right? I think it's natural to
Right.
walk into a place like a Walmart, which the people who own Walmart probably owned more slaves than you know what I mean. Like Juneteenth is probably the opposite of what maybe However,
Hmm.
you do also have to consider whether or not what company produced those napkins, those plates. Is it a black owned company
Right.
that is producing that product and then is doing the work to get that product into a Walmart to get it out and in front of more people?
Right.
And is there anything wrong with also getting a product like that in front of eyes that otherwise wouldn't normally see it, right? Because most people, anybody who's not black isn't likely to purchase those things, right? But
Right.
does it help in any way to increase awareness,
Yep.
to raise the level, or just to even get like kids who are walking through Walmart to go get Disney stuff or whatever to see
Hmm.
that and ask their parents, what is that? What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? How does
Yeah.
that work? So yes, um I can totally understand that, like, every holiday has the holiday is.
Hmm.
Every marketability. Um as somebody black business, right? In what we do at Loading Snacks as media, as press, one of the things that we discussed when we first started the company was whether or not it was important for us to label ourselves as blurs, to hashtag blurred, hashtag black tag, right? And really use that as a catalyst to put ourselves in front of more people.
Right.
And the decision was made that we didn't want people to look as,
Right.
oh, those are black guys that really know video games. Those are the black guys that really know pop comic books, whatever. We
Hmm.
just wanted to be looked at as subject matter experts, like without the
Correct.
color barrier there. So in a lot
Right.
of ways, we strayed away from that. But we also recognize that there are a lot of people who get a lot of hits and have become um yeah, it's I don't know what
Right.
isn't business anymore.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah.
If
I
That.
think
Hef,
I,
if you had gotten that email and it didn't say anything about queer, but the deal was just as good, right? Like whatever the any harder or any differently, would it have mattered in one way or the other? Or stand out because literally called it, queer hash, you know what I'm saying, or whatever.
they were smart. They were
Does
smart
it
in my
matter?
opinion, Gage, because I'm going regardless, right? So a person like me, I think they're
Yeah,
brilliant because it's now giving me, like you said, putting attention on, an area of people that are, using this product. And maybe we can relate and
right.
understand each other more because we're using the same product on a serious note, right? Because hey, now I'm
Yeah,
maybe hanging out with somebody that I wouldn't usually hang out with because we like the same things. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a brilliant
correct.
idea.
Mhm.
It led me to actually look into, the term and the research it further and looking at statistics. Like they actually say that they believe that gay people actually smoke more weed.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's true or not. You know what I'm saying? But this shit interests me because again,
Yeah,
when I look at movements and when I look at who's investing and putting their hands in certain places, I
yeah,
want to know, like you said, is it the queer community getting paid for this, or is it somebody else sitting in the background saying we're gonna call this queer weed and sell it out, sell it out the store?
You're gonna
could
have
be a bit
you're
of
gonna have
both.
two. Yeah, you're gonna have two different ones. And the other part, like you said, that's always the counter argument is the awareness that it brings to people not knowing that you are in that vicinity or in that area of expertise that allows you to be successful in it. And you use a great example of, okay, well, when we decide what we're going to do, are we going to label ourselves and put ourselves in a box in this specific area? So when people look at us,
Right.
are they going to look at us only in this direction, or are we going to broaden our horizons and do it? That's
Right.
always going to be the counter argument because no matter what you do, you're going to have two sides to each of the coin, and
Yeah.
you got to make a decision first and foremost. Like you said, it could be a black person, but nine majority of the time, it's always going to be the capitalism part that's going to be exposed and put into. If they see that there's a brand, if they see that there's a market for it, the money's going to be pushed behind it in order to get it into your face
Absolutely.
and get your money hands down. So
I mean, we've been talking. I mean, for decades upon decades as black people about how our dollars matter to those companies, and
mm,
they don't feel it until we decide to stop shopping, right? We
yep,
Absolutely.
boycott them, right? That's the whole reason why we would boycott anything, right? So show us some respect and recognize that our money spends the same way everybody else's money spends. I don't necessarily think that something like this is any different, right? When you're talking about any version of a marginalized community,
yeah,
and taking what is like Pride Month is a big deal, right? Like there's so much going on in the fight for their justices, especially ones that mimic our own, right?
yeah,
Just as not just as black people, but as people of color, period, especially in this country.
hmm
Um, I don't know. Like I don't necessarily see it as wrong, and I think you're right, Hef. Like I think there is a certain level of brilliance to it, right? And the thing is, if there is a strain of weed that is specifically labeled queer weed, it won't be gone in July when Pride Month is quote unquote over,
Right.
right? Like it'll still exist. So like, if you go and you buy some queer weed and it works out, like you like, yo, this this queer weed, bro, this is it. This
That's
is the
that
truth.
gas.
I'm going back, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not like it's gone, right? So I mean, yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think it's a brilliant way to to not only market it, to not only utilize what's happening during the month, but again, like you said, to maybe bring it to your attention and put you in just having the thought that like, of course, there are gay people who smoke weed.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, of course there are, right? But
Right.
you don't necessarily think about it. The question is why. So like if they have a statistic, and again, like statistics, we can make statistics do whatever we want them to
What
do.
we want. Yeah.
If the statistics say that more gay people smoke weed, which again I don't know that I don't know that I buy that.
I just love the audacity that they put it down in print and emailed it to me. I loved it.
75% of the time, it works every time.
Sure, yeah, exactly, exactly. Like I don't.
But Gage, real quick too, another
Yeah,
thing, like around my way, there's a dispensary that I think they're setting up to be more of a social, because I think that the cannabis industry, they're aiming to have that type of setup to where you can actually come in, purchase your cannabis, meet friends, smoke your cannabis there,
right,
buy some more cannabis, and go
right.
home. They
It's gonna
even
be more like
have,
hookah.
yeah, they
Yeah,
even
like a hookah
have
lounge.
at the one by my house, they have already the NBA Jam arcades, the retro arcade games. They
Hmm.
got the 2K tournament on the other side. You can win an ounce, this and that. So I'm just I'm just open. My ears are up because I see it. You know what I'm saying? I see everything that's jumping off, and it caught my attention this
The
morning. To
lottery's gonna be in there, and you're gonna have the
what? Yeah, that's
electronic
what I'm
racehorses.
playing Keno. I got.
You're gonna need you're gonna have the computer racehorses in there, people
But
betting
Yeah,
on
here's
the
the
side.
kicker. But here's the kicker, guys. This is what they talked about back during Prohibition.
Mm.
Once you figure out how to market it, legalize it, and do whatever you can to make that money, it ain't going nowhere. You
no,
know,
Well, the last part, the last big part is for the federal government to tax it and
sure,
use the money specifically for a certain development, which I've always said, if you're going to tax cannabis and make it legal, have all the tax revenue go to a specific one like healthcare or education. That
correct.
way, that money, once you see the revenue come, you don't, budgetary wise, you don't have to make cuts to those different areas. You have a specific set of financial dependency from that, which we
Yeah,
know it's a growing economy. We know it's a huge economy. People need to be able to put their money in the bank, be able to put their money in a bank and do regular business with it
I mean,
because
does your
it's just a
dispensary
matter of time.
take Bitcoin?
not
Huh?
yet,
Yeah,
not yet. It's
not yet.
cash. It's cash only.
Okay.
I think Bitcoin is going to be definitely the next wave. I mean, I heard Chipotle is accepting it. Or some restaurants are starting to take
They
Bitcoin, if
are.
I wasn't mistaken.
They are.
I think there's some hold up in uh, something where you can't use credit. Like they don't have any type of
Yeah.
card transactions. But again, like just rolling out the topic tonight, it was something that caught my attention. I had some
Yeah.
jokes about it because some of it was funny. But like I said, brilliant idea. I'm talking about it. I'm telling my friends about it. So shit, if it helps their
It's getting the
business,
word out.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
whole point. That's the whole point of word of mouth and advertisement.
Stuff like that is designed to, even having a month like that is designed to normalize the conversation,
To do
Mhm.
this,
so that people hear it, so they get used to it, so that it's not like not that Pride Month isn't for us, but it is the kind of thing that's for our kids. It's just not unlike. I mean, we talked about this on this show before, but like if your dispensary starts to take Bitcoin, like Bitcoin's not really for us. It's for our
right,
kids,
right.
right? So they're training our kids now to ask for V bucks,
Mhm.
not to ask for cash. They ask for V bucks. They ask for a plastic card they can use. There's no
No
dollar
physical.
bills that
Right.
ever, there's no transactions that happen that way.
Mm.
These kids are learning to spend money that doesn't exist
Yeah.
really.
When
Um,
it when is the last time you had a stack of money in your pocket?
I
A
mean, look,
stack
if listen,
physical
if I
cash.
say I was at a strip club, you'll understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Outside of a strip club. When has you have you have I honestly, other than a dollar that I found, like $2 I found that I hesitated picking up
Mhm.
like 2 months ago,
Yeah,
I cannot remember the last time I carried physical cash.
I mean,
And
I will tell you that I see physical cash. I'm gonna say relatively often because I deal in retail, and it's a
Mm.
lot
and
of
that's
people that still
yeah.
right for me personally, carrying it around is not really a thing. However, I was just at a Comic-Con this weekend. In a lot, like in a market, like those
In a
vendors,
market.
people selling their
Yeah.
wares and stuff like that. Like it's still a lot of paper transactions that are happening.
Right.
But most of them are using Square, taking cards, tap the
Apple
joint.
Pay. Yep.
Like it's Cash App. Like a lot of them are not bothering to deal with cash, and most people don't bring it. But
Hmm.
there's a lot of it.
And young kids, our kids, they don't even know how to accentuate the cash. They don't even touch cash. It's probably kids I had never even touched $100 bill.
Correct. Why
You
would they?
know, they
Why
don't
would
have
they?
to.
Why would they?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Why would they?
yeah.
Hundred
And they
percent.
got green light cards and stuff like that. So it's like you can just put money there. Like think about it
Right.
now. Somebody posts, "Oh, it's my daughter's birthday or whatever. Here's her Cash App."
Here's their cash
You know what I
app.
mean? And people are just, and they just know they can go and they can spend it. It's literally no different than them asking you for V-Bucks or
Yep.
Robux for Roblox or whatever it is. They've been learning how to spend money from day one
Hmm.
without cash ever being a transaction, and it's all cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In
Yep.
in in some manner, right? So you're using currency that doesn't exist to pay for currency that doesn't exist.
Mm.
That's
And you
and
can get with it to get left behind, man.
it's becoming normal. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's normalized. So again, it might not feel normal to us, but
Hmm.
the stuff that we do, like doing something like this, where we're all talking to each other via video and audio, whatever, and doing it on the internet, like it was technically it was a thing you could do a decade ago, 2 decades ago, but it wasn't for them. It wasn't even for the people who technically invented it. It
Yep.
was for us, and they so used to it.
Yeah.
As a kid, I saw this video. Somebody asked their child to, like, if I say to you, "Hey, Hef, make a motion like you talking to somebody on the phone. Like, use your hand and show me like what it looks like if you talking to somebody on the phone." Exactly, right? You know that, K, right?
Yep.
It's your
Hmm.
thumb, your thumb and your pinky, right?
Yep.
You ask a child, K, ask one of your kids to make the sign like they talking to somebody on the phone. They'll put their hand flat and hold it to their face because they never had an
The
actual
receiver.
a receiver. They've never actually,
Wow.
they don't know what it actually means to hang up on somebody. They know the term, but they never did it.
Right. They
Even if
never
they did,
physically
like
did
they
it.
pushed a button,
They
like if
pushed the
your kid's
button.
as old as
Yeah.
my kids, like they pushed a button, they never actually hung a phone on a
Even the
receiver.
flip
With
closed.
the aggression.
Even the
Yeah,
flip
like
closed.
yeah. Because I'm like, when y'all get mad at each other, how do you even hang up like you mad? They just be like, "Oh, I left them on red." I left
And
them
they,
red, like they saw
and they
my
never
text,
they never
and I
had the flip
just didn't
phones either.
respond. They know I saw it, but I didn't respond. That's like how they hang up on each other. I seen it, and I ain't even respond. That's considered aggressive for them.
Yeah.
It's it's it's
That's
it's super
hilarious.
different in ways you don't even think about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, real talk. K Dizzle, man, you got a topic?
Man, I was gonna go with house, but look. We were gonna do a pair topic, and it's funny that we kind of rolled into it a little bit, but my topic is cryptocurrency, right? How soon before it becomes the normal, and when will the government intervene? Because right now, cryptocurrency isn't regulated.
Right.
However, they are starting to put it in major financial institutions.
Correct.
And so the biggest thing about cryptocurrency is that the government isn't backed it, for one, and two, they can't insure it, and they can't really make money off of it, right? That's the
Right.
biggest thing. So we've allowed it to get as big as it is. Um, Bitcoin was at, what was its high? $60,000 a coin,
Almost 70,000.
seventy
Yeah.
thousand dollars a
Like that.
coin, and
Yeah.
now we got scamming altcoins and other types of cryptocurrency that coming in and taking people's money. How
Mhm.
long will it before it becomes the normal, and when will the government step in? That's my question. Because, like you said, if we're paying for stuff in cryptocurrency now, let's say you go to Chipotle, all right,
Mhm.
you buy 16 burritos, which is $180. 100, no, probably like 200,
200.
$300,
Yeah.
Yeah,
thinking down to now, $300.
yeah,
And you have you have a Bitcoin, which is now trading at $27,000, $30,000 per coin. Now you've paid 0.00064 for 16 burritos,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So so now you get into the game. Now you get into the game of fractionalizing currency that isn't real.
yeah.
We're already there. We're fractionalizing currency that isn't real. And secondly, the ability for it to be one mind, and two, if it can be, if it's a digital currency which can sooner or later be either duplicated or be fabricated,
Mm,
just like we do with anything else, just like we do with real money.
so,
How are you going to be able to control that going down in the future?
I mean, he, oddly enough, let me ask you a question. How real is the money you currently use anyway?
Mm.
It's not. We know. I
Mm.
mean, that's
You
that's
just asked if
facts,
it's
not
like
fiction. It
cash,
ain't
like
real. Period.
the dollar hasn't been backed by actual gold in so long. Like there probably isn't any gold in Fort Knox. Like right now, if you get a paycheck, which most people don't even get a paycheck,
Yep.
right? They can go and they can
The
look
blue
up
blue.
Look at it.
what was
Yeah.
sent to their account, right? But you don't physically even get a check anymore. So all you know is that the bank said that this company took this number from this financial institution and moved that amount to this financial institution. That's it. It's
And you
Right.
just
hope,
numbers.
engage, and you hope and pray that when it's time for you to want to reach out and touch your numbers, that you can get them.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. Because it's not so. Like I think the problem with let me start by answering your first question. I think it's at least a decade
Okay.
before it becomes something that is regular.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't necessarily think it will overtake what I think is more what I think is more likely to happen is that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will be universal.
Right.
You'll be able to use it anywhere, and it won't affect what the value of your dollar is based on the country you're spending it in. If that,
Hmm.
I'm saying, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because realistically, we're almost at a point where the U.S. dollar is worth the U.S. dollar actually is worth different amounts in different
In
states,
different
Right.
states.
right? So we always talk about how much the U.S. dollar is worth compared to what it is in Europe or what it is in Japan or whatever. But realistically, what the same size house costs you in North Carolina versus what that costs you here where we are,
Right.
right? Two totally like ridiculously
Two
different,
totally different. 10
right?
acres versus a quarter acre.
Right. Ridiculously different numbers. So the value of a dollar, and this is the thing about money, period. Actually, this is the thing about value. The thing about value is that value is never finite.
Hmm.
It is always specific to whatever any individual is willing to give for whatever it is. So if there were no dollars and we're just talking about trading,
Hmm.
right? If we didn't have money and it was like,
The barter system.
you want me to cook you a beat? I'll cook you a beat, you know what I'm saying, that you can use if you do this, this, and this for me.
Right.
Come on, Slim. You got nice beats, but your beats ain't worth this, this, and this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You want me to cut your grass, and you want me to take you to so and so, and you want me to come on, bro. That's not. But to the next person, they might hear that joint and be like, "What? Hey, Slim, I cut your grass for 3 weeks.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Perceived value.
Hmm.
all of that is when you walk past a homeless person, It's some people who like they ask you for money and you say, I don't have
Right.
any money. You hand them food. They will be so thankful. But there are other people like, man, I don't want that.
I want
Hmm.
money.
Right? Because they value being able to go and do whatever they want with it versus you like feeding them. You know what I'm saying? So to speak. Crypto won't be any different, right? The value of it will be no different than a comic book you picked up 2 years ago. And whether or not it's worth it. The way it fluctuates now, it will continue to fluctuate. That's probably the thing that's the most dangerous about it.
Yeah.
So the government will eventually step in. It probably won't happen until after they regulate weed.
Hey, Gage, can I ask you a
Right.
question?
Yeah.
Real quick to piggyback off of that. How many people, in your opinion, would you say understands crypto right now, percentage wise? Like, if you were to sit them down and ask them 4 or 5 basic questions about cryptocurrency, include
Uh-huh.
myself,
Yeah.
percentage wise, how many people you think could get 4 out of 5 right?
Maybe 1%.
Exactly.
Maybe
So
1%.
I'm watching documentaries about Bitcoin right now from time frames like in the 90s.
Yeah.
So that makes me think that whenever my I don't want to call myself stupid in front of this new audience, but whenever my dumb ass sits here and starts to have these conversations, something's too late. I feel like something's too late. Like it shouldn't be on my level.
So
I
let me
think crypto's been stepped on too much for me to be talking
you know
about
what
it
though?
right
Here's what I'll ask you. How many people do you think could correctly answer 4 out of 5 questions about interest and how interest
now.
works
That's a
and
great
how it's
question.
applied to the
That's a great
dollars
question.
that we already use regularly?
That's a great
It's
question.
like,
Simple interest, annual
yeah,
accrued interest.
Compound
Yeah.
interest, yeah.
understanding value is bullshit. Like that's really what it comes down.
Yeah.
Like it's like look, I just saw an article the other day, yesterday, that Target is dropping a bunch of price of their stuff because they over purchased and they're canceling orders from the vendors that they buy stuff for because they were still in pandemic purchase mode, right? And the
Mhm.
kinds of things that people were buying during the pandemic,
They're
they're
not
not
buying anymore.
buying anymore because they can actually go out now.
Hmm.
So home projects and fencing and all that kind of stuff, people buying stuff so they can be comfortable at home and all that kind of stuff, all that's out the window, right? They took care of that, and now all they want to do is go out, and so their value dropped as a company because they have to cancel all these orders, right? And they're working with these vendors to try to adjust what that is. The market will always fluctuate. It's
Hmm.
it's gonna always fluctuate. That's what supply and demand is.
Mhm.
How many people do you think could actively answer questions about supply and demand and how it works? They know it's a thing. You know what I'm saying? But like, how many people could actually explain it to you in a way that you would be satisfied with the answer that they give you?
Right. That's a good point.
I don't I don't expect that cryptocurrency will be any different. And to be honest with you, I don't think it will matter because it doesn't matter to the currency we currently use.
Mm.
That's very
That's
true.
Mm.
again, if you ask a child right now, again, we going back to again because this isn't about us.
Right.
This is about our
Our
children and
kids.
their children and how they're being taught to use currency that doesn't exist. So right now, if you ask a kid how many V bucks they have, they can tell you the number. They might say, "I got 1,000 V bucks."
Right.
How much is that? How much
Right.
money did that cost? Right.
Right.
Well, here's the thing: if you buy 1,000 V bucks directly from Epic, who sells it, it's like 7.99.
Six. Yeah.
Right? But if you buy it through Apple, which is why they had that whole controversy with them pulling it off the App Store and all, if you buy it through them, it's $10.
Mm.
Right? And so it's like $1 for every 100 V bucks. But that's not what the actual value of it is because Epic is willing to sell it to you for 30% less than that.
Right. Right.
And part of the reason why they're doing that is because Apple was taking a 30% cut of anything that got sold through them before Epic got it.
Yep.
Mm.
So
And
that's
Epic,
it's
we clearly they're still making margins on selling it to you
at
for
$7.
$10, you know what I'm saying, or $7 because they making money hand over fist
because it ain't real currency.
because it's not real currency anyway.
Right.
So kids will see this is the number. Eventually, what I think will happen with something like Bitcoin is it'll be treated like tokens at Chuck E. Cheese. They tried to do this to us once already.
Mm.
Think about what they did to us as kids. You could go to some arcades, put $1 in the machine, and it would spit you out 4 quarters.
4 quarters.
But if you go to the machine at Chuck E. Cheese, it
You
spits
stop
you out
spending
4
that
tokens,
money at Chuck E. Cheese, right?
right? You can only spend it there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the exact same thing that V-Bucks are. You
Mm-hmm.
can only spend V-Bucks in
And
Fortnite.
Roblox. Yeah.
You can only spend Robux in Roblox. It's the same thing. It's literally Chuck E. Cheese tokens.
Hmm.
They did that to us already. It's just digital now, right? If you go to Dave and Buster's, right? They don't even, whatever.
Right.
Now swipe the card.
Swipe the card.
What's the value of what's on the card? If you go right now and you say I want to put $50 on this card,
Mm-hmm.
how many games does that actually get you? Bro, it's games in that joint that are like
They have
this costs
different
4.83 credits. The hell is 4.83 credits?
It's
Bro,
all
like,
yeah.
all you know is I put a value on a card and I spent it and it let me do something.
Yep.
That is literally what they are training us to do. I don't think it will matter. I don't I really don't think it'll matter.
Yeah.
Because if they tell you, if Bitcoin changes over to credits, Microsoft tried this when they first put out the Xbox 360 and people hated it. And it was like $5 was worth like 400 Microsoft points.
Yeah.
I
Points.
remember
Yep.
that.
And they eventually changed it over and converted your money back over or whatever because people was upset. But now that's all they do. Microsoft was just ahead of the curve. Like they tend to be. They did it. Dave and Buster's was doing it to you. Nobody was mad about that. And that
Nope.
was also to play games.
Yeah.
In the next decade, it will be regular, right? It's just a matter of whether or not you're able to continue to use what we consider currency now still.
Mm.
If you can delve in both, it won't matter.
Mm.
I'm saying it won't matter. That'll be a thing I think maybe the World Bank takes over. And if the World Bank deals in it and they make it a worldwide currency, right, that you can spend anywhere and do whatever you want with, then you'll see it start to hit. When you go on Amazon to shop, it won't matter where you're getting your product from.
Right.
It all spends exactly the same.
It'd be universal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It all spends exactly the same. A decade max might not take that long, but a decade max. Because anything that has to do with money and at least for our government, getting their piece of it, it don't take that long.
It don't take long.
Right.
It don't take that long. You know what I'm saying? Not at all.
It's taking longer than I expected for them to federalize, to legalize marijuana. It's been taking longer than I expected. The states have been moving on it quicker than anything else because they see the revenue and they see the opportunity. So
right,
yeah.
Right. Well, you see people, you begin to see the revenue come into communities that have it. You begin to see the spend go up. You begin to see people moving to those communities, right? Which is literally no different than saying, hey, we have dispensaries that are pride-based dispensaries.
Mm-hmm.
You will begin to see an influx, right, of people that spend in those places. If you tell people, way more people who are gay smoke weed than if you are gay and you smoke weed, you feel better about yourself.
Exactly.
Now. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you normalized it. Like, if 75% of the people who do it are like me, you feel included. It feels inclusive. It's all of that falls into the same category, same pitfalls. You know what I'm saying? It don't it don't change, man. Like I said, I give it a decade. I get emails from Microsoft all the time. They ask like, do you want to be able to spend Bitcoin? You know what I'm saying? To buy your stuff digitally. Everything is going digital.
Yeah.
Everything is going digital, right? And that metaverse thing is happening. It's coming whether you want it or not.
We getting closer and closer to the Ready Player One
Hey,
Exactly.
scenario.
K, don't get snatched in the metaverse, K. Don't go getting yourself snatched over there.
Hey, loading snacks right now.
Hey, listen, man. I will tell you that I know people who are buying property in the metaverse,
I thought about it. I am
like
thinking
physically
about it. I'm
buying
thinking about
property
it
in the
heavy.
metaverse.
Buying property in the metaverse
And people are like, "Why would you do that?" For the same reason that
for
you
the
would
same
buy a
reason we buy
domain name
Bitcoin.
on the
Same
Exactly.
internet.
reason people bought Bitcoin in 2000.
Sure, sure.
So you
Yeah.
don't know. It's a
You're just trying to get ahead of the curve. I
trying
mean,
to get
it's
ahead of the
it's
curve.
NFTs. It's not going away. You know
No.
what I mean? Like it's there are circles that talk like they hate it, but anything people hate, it does well.
Yep.
And you know what I mean? Like there are always going to be people who are into something, if for no other reason than because other people don't like it.
No doubt.
Yeah. You know what's doing real well?
What's that?
This goddamn snack packaging, because this motherfucker won't
Because you
open.
can't get it open.
Motherfucker won't open. I make all this noise, ain't open.
I mean, I can't hear it. You good? Don't worry about it. What is it? Gummy bears or something? Like
You got fruit
fruit
snacks?
snacks?
Fruit snacks, bro. Fruit snacks.
Man,
Fruit
got
snacks?
Shout
diet
out to
Welch's fruit
Welch's.
snacks.
The
Please
fresh,
pay the ADU podcast, all dressed up
Sugar-free,
podcast at
sugar-free
gmail.com.
fruit snacks.
Sugar
the
free.
fresh Welch's.
Fresh Welch.
Um, hey, listen. So this is. Let me just tell y'all what my topic is.
Be Deshaun Watson, because I was gonna fuck with him for a
It's
little
not.
bit. All right.
It's not. It's not.
They said my
Because
man was in Happy Baby asking the broad to massage his tape, bro. I'm
it's
sorry.
not. It's a very very simple question, and this is why I thought to myself as soon as you popped in the stream, F, is Michael Jordan the greatest of all time?
I'm gonna tell you right now. I just made the curve, so I'm not gonna be who you want for this one.
Oh, I do.
wait.
I'm with it.
You already know. This is a loaded question from Loaded Snacks. So he knows. Hold on. Hef is a LeBron stan to the very end. Like,
That's cute and all. That's not what poster I see back there.
Look at LeBron's picture. Look at LeBron's picture compared to Mike's picture. LeBron is right here. If you can see,
He's smart. Yeah.
Mike is
Yeah.
behind me. I grew up on Mike. Mike changed the game, sir.
mm-hmm.
Facts.
You know, and I wish I had a bottle for this one. I could sit back and talk
Man,
Michael Jordan all damn night.
Hey, look, and I can too. Now, here's the thing. I'm not gonna tell you. Well, I mean, Kate, where do you stand? Is Jordan the greatest of all time?
Michael Jordan is the GOAT.
Did you think I was gonna take LeBron over Mike? Okay.
Huh?
You
Yeah,
thought I was
you are LeBron stan.
Not
I
over
knew it'd be
Mike.
troublesome. I knew it'd be troublesome.
not over Mike.
Hey, Kate, why is Michael Jordan the greatest of all time?
We're not gonna count. We're not gonna count rings.
Okay.
We can talk record,
Okay.
but more importantly, the overall impact he had on the game
Mm-hmm.
at a crucial time. Not only that, I just believe that with everything wrapped around his killer instinct that he perpetuated, no matter what, and changed it. The way he elevated everybody that played around him,
Mm-hmm.
and the marks that he left at everybody that played against him.
Mm-hmm.
There is no one that matched his hustle, his grind,
Mm-hmm.
his tenacity,
Yeah.
and there's nobody that really altered the way you play the game that he did. So until because everybody says, "Oh, Wilt Chamberlain had 11 rings." Yeah, Wilt Chamberlain was phenomenal, but Wilt Chamberlain didn't change the game the
Bill
way that
Russell.
Michael did. Michael took it. Michael took it universal. He put basketball above every other sport during his era.
Yeah.
He put it every other sport during his era. Mike was on top.
I can't
Yeah.
wait to go.
So you ready? That was ready.
I love this shit, man.
Hey, why is Michael Jordan the GOAT?
All right, so Michael Jordan's the GOAT in my eyes for a certain reason and realistically for a certain reason.
Okay.
So in my eyes, he's the GOAT because everybody that I grew up watching. I was a kid, not to make it all about me, but I really watched the game. I wasn't a great player. Like I was a short, five, whatever. But I studied the game every Sunday. I'd be watching the game, NBA on NBC, and all the greats that I saw don't have rings because of Mike.
Correct.
Oof.
Whenever they go around and they have those events where you see all those suits and pins and lapels, when Mike come in, a lot of motherfuckers get quiet
Yep.
because they can't go there with him in those conversations.
Nope.
So I'm not even going to get into finals records or how many rings he has. I'm talking about the people who don't have rings because of Mike.
Oof.
Exactly.
Now, the reason why I think he is, that was my opinion personally. The reason why I think he's actually the best of all time in the real world.
Yeah.
Charles Barkley actually schooled me on this in an interview. And I'm going to give credit to Charles. He said, back then, NBA players really weren't the star. The NFL was the league. Major League Baseball was the league back then. So when it came to the United States, basketball players weren't getting that type of pay or that type of love.
Correct.
And when you think about a Michael Jordan, Dr. J didn't have a shoe deal.
Nope.
Dr. J didn't have a shoe deal, to my knowledge. Dr. J. Michael Jordan came, changed the whole world with his shoe, got players paid because people realize now that you can make a whole brand off of an individual in a
Marketing.
team sport.
Yeah.
I don't have to market the team. I can have one guy
Yeah.
and ride my whole career on this cat. And that's what they did. Michael Jordan changed the game. He got players paid. Commercials. No NBA player had a commercial before Michael Jordan.
Mm.
Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was the face of anything in basketball.
Bro, listen, they sang a song about Slim.
Exactly. And some people say he fucked the game up. Excuse my language. I'm not sure if I can.
Nah, you could. Yeah, no, you could.
But some people say he messed the game up because of this, because he took the focus away from the team, because you don't really go back. And I'm not saying that because I love Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some people say, well, you don't really go back and look at certain teams. I still do because I give those teams credit. Like the Jazz squad that he kept beating with Karl Malone and John Stockton. That was a great squad.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal squad.
So not to talk too long, but this is a topic that gets me excited, man.
No.
And yeah.
There's a couple of real things that I think make it simple. And look, I don't know what 8-year-olds are talking about on the playground. You know what I'm saying? Like if they're probably having conversations about the greatest player, and Michael Jordan's name don't even get mentioned, so to speak. But they probably all wearing Jordans. Let's just okay. But I think that because you can't have a conversation about whether or not LeBron is the greatest of all time without bringing up Jordan. Because you can't talk about whether or not Kobe was the greatest of all time without bringing up Jordan. Because Jordan's name is synonymous with GOAT, with greatest of all time, still to this day, currently.
Mm-hmm.
That makes him the greatest of all time. I don't think there's any other way. Like, you don't have to measure it against anything else. Anytime people are talking about the greatest of all time, his name is in the conversation. And it is not, is he the fifth in line? Is he number one or number two? It's not a discussion. It's like, is it LeBron? Is it Kobe? Or is it Jordan? Is it LeBron or Jordan? Or is it Kobe or Jordan?
And Jordan? Yeah.
But it ain't. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that is quintessential to me to being considered the greatest of all time. Like, I think if you take that moniker, right, and you apply it to anything, right? If you ask people if Tiger Woods is the greatest of all time, there are people who will say, yeah, right? There are tons of names. There's Jack Nicklaus. There's tons of names in golf, right, that people will bring up. Right now, Rory McIlroy, like, there's tons of names that people will bring up. But you almost can't have a conversation about it without bringing up Tiger. And to be honest with you, if Tiger hadn't had some of the controversy he had,
there'll be no question. There'd be no
That's a
question.
real thing,
And
and that's
Gage, I hate to
partially
interrupt,
because
but
he elevates the game.
he still shuts down the gallery, man. Tiger will still limp his ass up to the tee, and
Yes,
all the people, all races will stand around in that circle
And be
and
quiet.
correct,
Yeah.
ah.
correct, correct. Like it's not like so. I think you're right, Hef. Like that's one of the things that also stands out to me is that I think Michael Jordan. I think that era of basketball is the greatest era of basketball.
I'm glad you
I think
said that.
Michael Jordan played against the greatest players that ever played the game. If you
Mm,
literally line up every team that was in, even teams that technically weren't part of contention.
right.
And Gage, and there aren't enough outliers that he didn't play against for me to change my thought. Like, okay, you got the
Hmm.
Greek freak right now.
Right.
Okay. But he's one of one, and he's got to have that durability for years.
Yep.
Not to
Hmm.
hate on that guy, but the way he plays like a Shaq on steroids
Yeah.
because he's moving faster.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got to see Greek Freak do this for 10 years, and then I might start, talking
Then it
about him.
might be a little bit different.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you consider just the names that mattered, Michael Jordan played in an era where every team that was a team of contenders had at least two people. It was never like
Right.
Mhm.
it wasn't
Right.
just Michael Jordan and the Bulls. It was Jordan and Pippen and the Bulls. It was
Malone and
Ewing
Stockton.
and Starks. It was
Ewing and
yeah,
Starks.
like
Yeah.
like Reggie Miller is one of the greatest 3-point shooters of all time, but so is John Paxson.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan made names that nobody probably would have cared about otherwise. Again, he elevated those people. Dog, like listen, I don't know if you remember Dickie Simpkins, but I do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For two reasons. One, he was from around the way. Slim was like the only person on the court at the time wore his socks all the way up to his knees because that's the thing we did around here.
Hmm.
But also, he played he played with Jordan. He played on that team. He has rings. You know what I'm saying? Because of that era. And you're right. The number of people, the number of great people, great players that don't have a ring, shoot, that didn't make it to the championship because Jordan, and I'm going to say Jordan and the Bulls prevented them. We're not just talking about total number of rings. We're talking about win streaks.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about going entire seasons like without losing a game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Going all the way to the finals. We're talking about like sweeping like it's nobody's business. Forget a three-peat. Like that's not even what it is. Michael Jordan elevated the game to a point where like the idea that he was coming
To your town.
did something to the psyche not only of the team he was playing, but to everybody who was a fan of that team.
Man, the
Yeah.
guy turned up MCI Center at 42 years old.
Yeah.
I was in MCI screaming like it was 98.
Bruh.
Michael Jordan's
It's
here.
Michael Jordan. Hey, Slim. I
Hey,
don't
Gage, what you think about, not to cut you off, but what you think
nah.
about the 92 Olympic team? You got to bring that up when you talk about Mike, in my opinion. Because at that point, Magic and Larry were kind of like on their way out.
Mm-hmm.
And I always watch the footage and films about that time too, because that was like the handing of the torch. Because I remember Magic sat there and was like, I looked at Larry and was like, he here.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee you. Not only can I walk across this room and pick up the entire stack of all the McDonald's cups that have the individual players from that squad, I have currently the jacket from Kellogg's that you had to order from Frosted Flakes that has that team on it. It's like a windbreaker
Bruh.
joint, dog. It's like made out of paper. Like, hey, Slim, nobody cared about basketball outside of the U.S. until Michael Jordan and that team did what they do. And listen, this is not to take anything away from Phil Jackson, because I also think Phil Jackson might be the greatest coach of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
But he did have Jordan.
Yeah.
like he had Jordan. Like I watched after the era of Jordan. I watched the Lakers try to build essentially the West Coast All Stars to try to
Hmm.
get a ring, and
Try
it
to
didn't work.
emulate.
You understand what I'm saying? Like they tried to build a team. When they pulled Malone in, and like they had Kobe and like and it didn't work. Like it didn't work. It was a mindset. That
Yep.
dude, like, as much of an asshole as people would say that he was on the court, stuff you can hear it. Like this is footage and stuff. You know what I mean, or whatever. Like, bruh, who else could have like a straight up everybody's tuning in every night to watch this story of Michael Jordan and the Bulls. That was like 4 or 5 years ago, whatever. Now, like
Yeah.
the Last Dance, like
Yeah.
there is nobody that's living up to that. There's
So
nobody living up to that.
you play devil's advocate because we opened up the question with the LeBron being a part of it as well. So
Sure,
can LeBron get to a point before he retires to where he could eclipse Michael Jordan?
I doubt it. See, here's my thing about here's my favorite thing about. For a long time, I told people LeBron was the best thing the league had. He was the greatest in the league, and here's why I say that. I don't know if there has ever been anybody else in the NBA who has played with the kind of pressure that LeBron James played with. I
Yeah.
say that as like LeBron James comes into the game out of high school, not the first person to do it.
Right.
Okay. So that's not all that there is to it. But you're young. You know what I'm saying? You're 18, 19 years old. You already have a $90 million shoe deal. You haven't played a lick of NBA ball. Okay. The your team, the Cavaliers, get new jerseys because you coming. They put new seats in the stadium because you're coming. They sold out their season tickets because you're coming. And you take a team that hasn't been to look, for real, I don't even know if they ever went to the finals before LeBron showed up. Like, they
Uh,
were a team that had zero contention.
Mm.
All of it is on this child's back. Don't get me wrong. You're a man at 18, sure. But for real,
he's a kid.
you're a child in the
He's a
NBA.
kid. Right.
Nobody else has ever really played with that kind of pressure. With no, like, almost anybody else who came into the league directly out of high school at least had other people on their team that had, I'm going to say, better than veteran status, meaning that they didn't just have years in,
Hmm.
they were considered somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were important already in some way.
So Kobe did, but Kobe came during the Jordan era,
Correct.
so he didn't have the same pressure. They knew he was great, but they
Sure.
didn't know the multitude of his greatness. But he didn't have that same pressure.
Yeah,
He
but
didn't have the same pressure.
in his time, like, look, the number of great players that came in and out of the NBA in that time, we're talking like Harold Miner, Baby Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Lil Penny. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, people, like, again, marketability became a thing because Jordan helped make it a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
let grandmama, oh,
Grandmama,
like,
Muggsy Bogues.
yeah, if you think about the way that the league turned and made stars out of players that were great players, right? But there were players who just weren't gonna ever get a ring. Like, when you think about Penny and Shaq, like, that was a
Hmm.
big deal. You know what I'm saying? They were a big deal. The Orlando Magic, like, who, they were nobody.
They don't know right before they got there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they were no one. They were nothing. So all of that comes out of that era and things that were happening because of the kinds of things that Michael Jordan was putting into play. Because people were watching the game because they wanted to see Jordan play. People who didn't care about Michael Jordan became like the most like higher than Mickey Mouse, the most recognized
Hmm.
name face on the planet. On
Michael
the planet,
Jackson level.
correct,
Michael Jackson level.
right?
That's why they're still talking about him, just like Michael Jackson. You know.
When Biggie said late nights I perform like Mike, anyone, Tyson, Jordan, Jackson, like,
Yeah.
again, I don't think there will ever be, and there certainly never has been, a greater performer than Michael Jackson.
No.
Michael Jordan to me is that for basketball. There are people who will now you have names that that put tickets in hands, put butts in seats.
Hmm.
There's no two ways about that. But not like Jordan did.
And it's a clutch factor too, Gage. We'd be terrible if we didn't mention that word in a Michael Jordan conversation. You know, the clutch factor is something that LeBron's not known to really exhibit at the end of a lot
Oh,
of his games. You know,
he
he
he's
tends to
he's been
defer.
considered one to choke
Yeah.
under the
Yeah,
pressure.
he's
I mean,
he's
Kyrie Irving hit that big shot in Cleveland. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So my biggest thing is, if I were to play devil's advocate again, is LeBron did all this with all this pressure while staying squeaky clean.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, a model citizen, beautiful family. I love him, man. I mean, the guy could run for president if people just weren't playing hating on him, to be
sure,
honest with you, because he's never gotten into any trouble.
sure.
And the things that he's doing off the court is probably the only thing that I could give a nod to him over Mike, because he's doing, the big work when it comes to charity in the schools, and
Sure.
working with the kids. And I don't really get into where they all spend their money and what they're doing as far as investments, but I've heard the things about Mike investing excuse me, in jails and doing whatever he did for his
Sure.
dollar down the line. So I think when
Sure.
it comes down to the man, I think LeBron will probably have more votes.
I think LeBron is definitely one of the greats. I think he's one of the greatest examples that kids can have, and the other fact of him being able to exude the amount of greatness that he does at the same time. He doesn't, like I said, he doesn't have that killer instinct of Mike, but it also shows a certain amount of humility, not only just within that, but it also shows that he's human to these
Yeah,
kids and say, okay, you can still be great and still have all these accolades, still all
That's an
these
excellent
great
point.
things, but also still fail in certain circumstances,
sure.
situations, and it's okay.
Sure.
And so that's why I love what he does and how he does. And even when he doesn't do what everybody expects him to do, he's still okay with it, and he still stays the same level-headed example that kids can see and say, okay, I can do these great things, but I can
Yeah.
also still fail and also still be human. I don't have to live and die on that pedestal. And if I don't stand up, if I'm not up to what everybody thinks I should be, that's
Yeah.
still okay. I'm still doing great on my own. So like you said, his example on and off the court is is a better example, than what Jordan left behind.
Sure.
At the same token, you know, he is still considered one of the greats. But when we really get into the discussion and start narrowing down to it, because of how Michael revolutionized just the entire sports industry in itself, um, there can be no one else that stands on that pedestal or stands on that statue and say, "Hey, um, I am better than you. I've accomplished more than you."
Yeah.
Everybody's made more. I won't say that now because Mike has made stupid money, but
Yeah.
they're getting paid a lot more, all
Yeah.
because of what
Contractually, right?
Mike did, of all the everything, all the stones he laid on that driveway to get everybody
Yeah.
to.
What I'll say is that I think players who play now, I think Michael Jordan wanted to be the greatest person to ever play the game.
Yep,
I think he wanted it
he wanted it.
and he played like it.
Yep,
He was hungry for it. Um and I think he drove the people around him, even if they didn't want it as bad as he did, they didn't want to let him down,
yep,
right? So he he pushed that within his team.
right.
I think the people that play now just want to be great. I
Hmm.
don't think they want to be the greatest to ever play the game anymore.
Yeah,
And I think that's because Jordan has already come.
Or even on their own team, Gage.
Correct. Correct. I think it's also like, yeah, look, there's infighting between teams all the time, no matter what. There was infighting with the Bulls. Like
yeah,
when Jordan was there. I think now there aren't players who are striving to make the kind of changes in the way contracts are done, in the way
right.
that you get. additional deals and promotional stuff outside of what you get from your team. I think Michael was pushing and working for all of those things. And I think now it's like, well, the door's open. So now you just
Yeah.
walk through and all you really got to do is play. You just got to
Mhm.
play great. That's not to say they don't want championships, because they do. I don't think they want to be the greatest of all time. They
Right.
might want to be the greatest 3-point shooter of all time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, they might want to be the greatest rebounder of all time. There was a time when Chris Webber, stat for stat, was the best player in the league
Yep.
after he left. After he left DC,
Mm-hmm.
because almost anybody who comes here, they struggle here because
They
we treat
struggle.
everybody like kings, bro.
Yeah,
Like
he
we
was.
like you here, or you the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Like we treat everybody like kings, and that would get people in trouble. Chris Webber left here and went to Sacramento. I want to say like his second year that he was there, like stat for stat, he was the best player in the league. It wasn't getting him no ring though.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't driving that and pushing that in the rest of the team.
Shaq and
So
Kobe was taking that time over.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And again, they were in that era of Jordan.
Of
So
Jordan.
like
Yeah.
if you played with him or you played against him, he drove you to want, like people wanted, they just wanted to beat
They
Jordan.
just wanted to beat him.
They didn't
That's
care.
the key. That's
Yeah.
the key word, Gage. You just said it right there. They drove you. You
Yeah.
know, like who were the drivers of these teams that went to the championships, like with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, when they formed up? Who was the driver?
Mhm.
Like Michael Jordan drove every team.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yeah.
Period.
They
Every
just want to
team.
win. They just want to win versus want
Not
to be
just
great.
his team. Every listen,
Yeah,
if you listen, if your team was playing the Bulls, you knew you had to bring your A+ game. You can't come in here on B- day. You're not allowed to be sick today. You
Greatest
can't come in
game of
here
your life.
you understand what I'm saying? Like
mm.
Iverson might be one of the only people who ever stood in front of Jordan and didn't even look. There are people who had the face, right? Like Isaiah
Mm-hmm.
Thomas gave Jordan some trouble
Yeah.
for a little bit.
Joe Dumars on defense a little bit.
A little bit, right? But that was also part of the plan. Because
Right.
Jordan had a team where it was like, all right, if y'all just gonna collapse on me, I got all these other people. Dog, like Bill Cartwright was getting boards, bro. Like it just like he there's a there's something about him and that team in that era that meant like if you're coming to our town or we're going to yours, we gotta go in this joint with a completely different headspace. Like it has to be totally different. We can't play them like we play every other team. We gotta play them like Jordan's coming.
For sure.
Nobody else has ever done that.
Mm-mm.
Nobody else has ever done that. No, like Jordan, there was fear of Jordan being a one-man show.
There were
When
stories
Kobe,
of Mike walking in the locker rooms, like you said, walking in the other teams, including the Bullets, my Wizards,
mhm,
telling the guy that's going to guard him, "I'm giving you 50 tonight" with a cigar in his mouth. Man,
straight up
what?
and mean it. But here's the thing: when Jordan had a high scoring night like that, his team still scored high around him. Kobe would have nights like that, and nobody else is getting buckets,
AI would have nights like that, and nobody else was getting
and
nobody.
nobody else is getting buckets. Jordan would have nights like that, and his team is still getting buckets.
Good point.
It's like they was a whole threat, bro. They was a whole threat. I don't really think there's always an argument to be had.
Always.
Always an argument to be had. But Jordan is he's the G. He's the G. Love him or hate him.
The only guy I'll take over, my man LeBron.
You know what? I'm not even mad at that. I'm not, I'm not mad at that at all. I'm not mad at that at all. Hey, look, we're gonna wrap this joint up. But listen, before we go, one more time, I want y'all to share with everybody who's watching, listening, hanging out with us here on Good Conversation and Shenanigans. Give him the 1, 2, 3 punch of what the All Dressed Up podcast is, how and when they can follow. All right, so Hef, apparently you got the rundown. K don't want that. K don't want that. Hef like,
And I'm
I was
over
doing
here.
something.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
over here getting gear for the game that's coming on. But anyway, I want to first off thank you, Gage, for inviting the All Dressed Up podcast on your platform. I had a hell of a
Yo,
time, man. It was a pleasure.
oh,
Not to speak for UK, but thank you very much.
my pleasure.
I'm half of the All Dressed Up podcast with my man K Dizzle DC. We talk about everything. We include everybody. You can always reach out and talk to us. We are live on Sundays at 9. We do have a live chat. We actually put up a number for you to text in. We can pull you into the conversation. So we try to make it as fun and include everybody as possible. But you can find us at the All Dressed Up podcast on YouTube and Instagram. And we are live Sundays at 9.
No doubt. No doubt. Look, make sure you follow these gentlemen individually. Hef underscore streams on Instagram. K Dizzle DC on Instagram. I'm sure that y'all can find everything else they have going on if you do those two things. Again, make sure you check out the All Dressed Up podcast, man. These guys are killing the game right now. They're killing the game. Listen, I appreciate y'all tuning in to Good Conversation and Shenanigans. We had a little bit of both. I will absolutely have these guys back on. There's no two ways about it. I appreciate y'all coming and hanging out with me tonight. We're gonna wrap this one up. I will leave you with this. Just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea. With that, I'm out. Toodles and lose.